Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. Today's legal spotlight focuses on a medical negligence case involving a tragic loss of vision and allegations of delayed medical treatment. This is the case of Lai Ping or Lai Wai Ping and Dr. Lim Tai Ling and another. This case was decided by the High Court of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur and was heard by Judicial Commissioner SM Committee. The case falls under the area of tort law, specifically in medical negligence. It examines the duty of care owed by medical professionals, the standard of care in specialist treatment, and whether delayed or conservative medical decisions can amount to negligence. In July 2006, the plaintiff, Lai Ping, fell ill with a persistent fever that did not improve after receiving treatment at a clinic. She was later admitted to Pantai Cheras Medical Center under the care of Dr. Lim Tai Ling, a consultant physician and the first defendant. Medical investigation revealed that the plaintiff had a low platelet count, which subsequently dropped further. On the 16th of July 2006, the plaintiff complained of blurred vision. After that, Dr. Ling referred her to the second defendant, a consultant ophthalmologist who treated her eye condition. The plaintiff was diagnosed with endogenous Klebsiella epidermidis, which is a serious and aggressive infection affecting her liver, bloodstream, and eyesight. Despite receiving this treatment, her eyesight continued to deteriorate. On the 24th of July 2006, the plaintiff discharged herself from the hospital against medical advice. She later sought treatment at Tongshin Hospital. However, her condition worsened and she eventually became legally blind in both eyes, leaving her unable to work. The plaintiff, Lai Ping or Lai Wai Ping, sued three parties, but the claim ultimately proceeded only against the second defendant, Dr. Cheng Wing Sang, which is the ophthalmologist. The main issue before the court was whether the second defendant breached his duty of care for failing to refer the plaintiff to a vitreoretinal subspecialist. Second, whether the second defendant's treatment fell below the accepted standard of medical practice, resulting in the plaintiff's blindness. Third, whether any alleged breach caused or materially contributed to the plaintiff's blindness. And lastly, whether the defense of novice actus interveniens applied, considering that the plaintiff later received treatment from another doctor.
The plaintiff argued that the second defendant was negligent and had breached his duty of care in three main ways. First, she claimed that the defendant failed to treat her eye infection promptly and adequately. Second, she argued that he delayed necessary treatment even though her eye condition showed no improvement. Third, she contended that he failed to refer her to vitreoretinal subspecialist or another hospital with better facilities. According to the plaintiff, if intravitreal antibiotic injection and vitrectomy had been carried out earlier, her eyesight could have been saved. She argued that the defendant's conservative approach directly caused or materially contributed to her blindness. The second defendant denied all allegations of negligence. He argued that the plaintiff's condition was critically life-threatening at the material time and that immediate priority was to save her life rather than risk invasive eye procedures. He explained that the plaintiff had severe infection, eye swelling and very low platelet levels, which made early surgical intervention dangerous. The defendant also argued that he was qualified and competent to manage the plaintiff's condition and he did not act beyond his expertise. At the time, vitreoretinal subspecialization was not formally established in Malaysia and general ophthalmologists were trained to perform such procedure. Other than that, the plaintiff relied on the defense of novice actus interveniens, arguing that subsequent treatment at Tongshin Hospital broke the chain of causation.
Moving on to the legal principles, firstly, the court relied on Chester and Afshar and Fo Fiona and Dr. Su Fuk Moon and another, which established that a doctor is not automatically negligent for failing to refer a patient to another specialist if he is competent to perform the treatment himself. In this case, since the vitreoretinal subspecialty was not formally recognized in Malaysia in 2006, the second defendant was considered qualified to carry out the virectomy and intravitreal injections. Therefore, it was reasonable for him to treat the plaintiff without making a referral. Furthermore, the court also applied the Bolam test established in Bolam and Fern Hospital Management Committee and was reaffirmed in Dr. Chin Yun Hiap and Koo and others. Under this principle, a doctor is not negligent if his conduct accords with a practice accepted as proper by a responsible body of medical professionals. In this case, the judge held that the defendant's decision to delay the intravitreal injection until the infection stabilized and to postpone the virectomy was responsible and consistent with accepted medical practice for such infections. Moreover, The court applied the material contribution test from Wu Xiu Ying and Gunung Tunggal Quarry and Construction Sendian Berhad and Yo Peng Hock Henry and Pai Lili. Under these tests, the plaintiff must prove that the doctor's conduct caused or materially contributed to the injury on a balance of probabilities. In this case, the judge held that the plaintiff's blindness resulted from the severe Klebsiella pneumonia infection itself, not from the defendant's treatment. Medical evidence showed that even prompt and aggressive treatment often fails to prevent blindness in such cases. Therefore, the plaintiff failed to establish causation. Lastly, the chain of causation is only broken if the later treatment is clearly negligent or amounts to a new or unforeseeable cause of harm. In this case, there was no credible evidence that the treatment at Tang Shin Hospital caused the blindness. As a result, the chain of causation remained intact and the original doctor could not rely on this defense. As a result, the High Court dismissed the plaintiff's claim against the second defendant and awarded costs of Rm 20,000 to him. The court held that there was no breach of duty of care, the defendant met the required standard of care, and causation was not proven on balance of probabilities.
This case is important because it highlights the need to balance patient protection with medical professional autonomy. Doctors must have the space to exercise clinical judgment, especially in complex or life-threatening situations. While patients are protected from negligent care, it clarifies the standard of care expected when referral to specialists are necessary and how far patient autonomy extends. The case also emphasized that court should not substitute judicial opinion for medical expertise, recognizing the complexity of medical decision. Overall, it strengthens legal certainty for doctors, protect patients, and help maintain public confidence in the healthcare system. Firstly, doctors owe their patient a duty of care, meaning they must treat patients with reasonable care and skill. Secondly, the standard of care is assessed using the Bolam principle, where a doctor is not negligent if their actions are supported by a responsible body of medical professionals, even if others disagree. The law recognizes that there can be more than one acceptable medical approach. Thirdly, courts respect professional judgment and will not penalize doctors for reasonable clinical decision simply because the outcome was poor. Finally, the plaintiff must prove causation. It must be shown that the doctor breached cause or significantly contributed to the harm. A bad outcome alone does not prove negligence. We agree with the court decision because the second defendant acted with reasonable care and professional judgment. The plaintiff was critically ill and the doctor's priority was to stabilize her life before performing risky eye procedures. The condition was rare and aggressive, and a poor outcome alone does not prove negligence. The treatment followed accepted medical practice under the Bolam test, and the court correctly deferred to medical expertise. Finally, causation was not proven, as the blindness was likely due to the natural progression of the disease. The decision was therefore justified. In Bolam and Frin Hospital, the doctor chose not to administer relaxant drug using electroconvulsive therapy, and the patient suffered a fracture. Medical opinion was divided, and the court held that the doctor was not negligent. This led to the Bolam test, which stated that a doctor is not negligent if his action was supported by a responsible body of medical opinion, even if others disagree. Applying this to the present case, the second defendant acted within accepted medical practice. Faced with critically ill patient and rare condition, the doctor exercised reasonable professional judgment. So, the court was therefore right not to substitute its own opinion for that medical aspects.
Furthermore, in Barnet and Chelsea and Kennington Hospital, a man was sent home without being examined and later died from arsenic poisoning. Medical evidence showed that even if the doctor had treated him, he would still have died. The court held that the doctor was not negligent because the failure to treat did not cause the death. This case shows that in medical negligence, the patient must prove that the doctor's mistake actually caused the harm. A bad outcome alone is not enough. Similarly, in this case, the second defendant cannot be held liable unless it is proven that his action caused the loss of vision and not the disease itself.